We are a nation of immigrants, but we are also a nation of laws.
We're going to get control of our borders. We're going to make this country safer for all our citizens.
Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws.
President Obama has deported more undocumented workers than President Bush did.
And we will begin the largest deportation operation in the history of the United States. We will not be conquered. We will not be conquered.
In the immigration enforcement economy, the detention of people is a highly profitable business. In this video, we break down 3 ways the immigration enforcement economy detains individuals. Permanent facilities, tapping into the services provided by the private prison industry. Soft-sided, the name given to the business of temporary detainment. And alternative jurisdictions, for extraterritorial and extrajudicial contexts. In August 2025, the number of immigrants held in detention reached a historic high of 60,000. Roughly 90% are held in privately owned detention centers across the country. In theory, private contractors offer additional beds at a savings from federally owned and operated centers. However, ICE has dozens of individual contracts for detention centers, many of which contain guaranteed minimums, a guaranteed payment for a fixed number of beds, whether they are used or not. Many contracts also contain tiered pricing schemes, which give discounts for detainees held above the minimum. Taken together, these contract agreements have created a perverse incentive for ICE to prioritize keeping private centers at full capacity. Currently, the number 1 supplier of detention beds is a company called the GEO Group. Started in 1984, the GEO Group operates facilities for both criminal detention and civil immigration detention. The multinational corporation has steadily grown along with the rise of the private prison industry. Today, it has over $2 billion in annual revenue. According to FEC filings, their PAC was the first to max out donations to Trump's 2024 campaign.
We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country. And we made history for a reason tonight, and the reason is going to be just that.
Once Trump was reelected, GEO Group, with idle facilities standing by and connections in the administration, was poised to win even more lucrative contracts with the incoming administration. As noted by company founder George Zoley in a 2024 earnings call.
The GEO Group was built for this unique moment in our country's history and the opportunities that it will bring.
One of these opportunities was this 1,000-bed facility in Newark, New Jersey, which reopened as an ICE detention center in May 2025. Known as Delaney Hall, this center has become a political flashpoint for ICE.
Mayor Ross Baraka has been arrested and is now in ICE custody.
The backdrop for protests, migrant uprisings,
as many as 50 immigrant detainees have staged a revolt at the Delaney Hall ICE Detention Center in Newark.
and even escapes.
4 detainees escaped from the Immigration Detention Center Thursday night.
But for GEO Group, the controversies are irrelevant to business. And the 15-year contract for Delaney Hall is worth approximately $1 billion. In June 2025, a second idle GEO Group facility reopened, the 1,800-bed North Lake Processing Center in remote Lake County, Michigan, consistently ranked as the poorest county in the state. Even though it's 270 miles away, it was reopened to serve the Chicago area. Illinois law prohibits any private prisons and any public jails from contracting with ICE. The federal government gets around these laws, which are meant to limit immigration detention by taking detainees hundreds of miles away from families and attorneys. North Lake and Delaney Hall are just two of several inactive GEO Group facilities to reopen. If all the facilities reopen, the company projects a potential additional annual revenue of $500 to $600 million. But for publicly traded companies, revenue from government contracts is just part of the value. In the days after Trump's re-election, GEO Group's stock price surged. Within weeks, founder George Zoli's personal stock holdings more than doubled to over $100 million. The other giant in the detention industry, CoreCivic, saw a similar leap. And major institutional investors like BlackRock, Vanguard, and State Street saw their holdings surge by over $1 billion. Profits that flowed invisibly through index funds and ETFs into the retirement and investment portfolios of millions of Americans, many of whom may be surprised to learn they're profiting from immigrant detentions. Soft-sided facilities are large tent camps that are cheaper and faster to set up and operate than permanent detention facilities. While not as profitable in the long term as the permanent facilities of the private prison industry, these contractors have lower infrastructure costs. All that's needed is a suitable plot of land. Deployed Resources is one of Homeland Security's primary contractors. Since 2016, the company has been awarded more than $4 billion in contracts and is currently operating a 1,000-bed tent facility outside El Paso, Texas. The company claims its tent camps comply with the OSHA Temporary Labor Camp Standard, 1910.142, which provides detailed stipulations to ensure safe and sanitary living conditions. Using data from the Deployed Resources website, C2 Research created a parametric tool to visualize detention camp scenarios. It can estimate for regulation-safe detainment of individuals at different scales and areas. Days after the inauguration, the Trump administration announced a 30,000-bed facility.
The 30,000-person migrant facility at Guantanamo Bay. Most people don't even know about
at the naval base in Guantanamo Bay.
30,000 beds.
The base already housed a small migrant detention center run by Akima Global Services, under a contract won during the Biden administration. Based on our tool, even pushing the proposed site to its absolute maximum, the capacity was still nowhere near the 30,000 beds. Less than 2 months after the announcement, in the face of lawsuits and the reality on the ground, the future of the expansion plans remains uncertain. In addition to federally controlled military bases, states and municipalities are offering up land, perhaps hoping for political and economic advantages. In November 2024, the state of Texas acquired a 1,400-acre ranch in Starr County, on the border with Mexico, with the explicit intent of providing space for a massive soft-sided facility.
Commissioner Buckingham has offered 1,400 acres of ranch land to the incoming Trump administration for a detention facility and the deportation staging of migrants.
We located the ranch through its contract of sale and used the parametric detention planning tool to demonstrate its sobering potential. Theoretically, tens of thousands of people could be held there, though only under cramped, extreme conditions, essentially creating a detention camp the size of Palm Springs, California. In July 2025, Florida opened its own immigration detention center at a remote airstrip deep in the Everglades. Immigration enforcement is primarily the responsibility of the federal government, and states like Florida, along with other municipalities, are only permitted to aid in that enforcement when authorized by the federal government to do so. And although President Trump and the Department of Homeland Security publicly backed the project after it was built, it was conceived, constructed, and paid for entirely by the state of Florida, with no federal oversight, prior coordination, or environmental reviews.
Got it done in how many days?
8 days, a new facility was up and running, so.
And is this the model going forward, Mr. President?
It can be. I mean, you don't always have land so beautiful.
The facility exploited jurisdictional ambiguities to operate in a legal gray zone. Detainees did not appear in the ICE database, making access to their families or legal counsel incredibly difficult.
Breaking news, a major ruling regarding Alligator Alcatraz coming down tonight.
But in a situation similar to Guantanamo Bay, multiple lawsuits, court orders, and environmental issues have cast doubt on the future of the facility. In a truly unprecedented scenario, in March of 2025, the Trump administration flew hundreds of Venezuelan and Salvadoran migrants against court orders to be imprisoned in El Salvador. This footage, captured in cinematic quality by the president of El Salvador's press office, is the actual arrival of these detainees. Other than immigration status issues, the majority of these men had not been convicted of any crimes, yet they were sent to CECOT, translated as the Terrorism Confinement Center, a place infamous for flagrant human rights abuses. Instead of hiding its harsh treatment of detainees, El Salvador openly broadcasts and displays the prison practices. The Trump administration has largely followed suit.
I also want everybody to know, if you come to our country illegally, this is one of the consequences you could face. First of all, do not come to our country illegally.
But just 4 months after being sent to CECOT, all 253 Venezuelans were sent home to Venezuela.
We're following new developments after a major swap took place between the U.S. and Venezuela. The Secretary of State Marco Rubio said 10 Americans who were detained in Venezuela were being sent back to the U.S. And El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele announced that more than 200 Venezuelan immigrants, whom the Trump administration had sent to his country's notorious mega prison, were flown to Venezuela as part of that deal.
These Venezuelan migrants were sent to the notoriously abusive CECOT, effectively held hostage, then used as pawns in a so-called prisoner swap. Illustrating yet another way the immigration enforcement economy derives value from migrant bodies as political bargaining chips to be traded on the international market. In the coming years, as a result of H.R. 1, also known as the Big Beautiful Bill, U.S. government spending on immigration enforcement will multiply, and revenues for companies like GEO Group, Core Civic, and Deployed Resources are likely to follow suit. But these are just 3 players in a vast ecosystem that makes up the immigration enforcement economy. In future videos, we will dive deeper into other facets, including surveillance and removal.